Stretched their arms yesterday a little bit more. Rengar for Xmithy for his first time. We did see he wasn't completely comfortable on it. They may try to go back to a few more comfort picks in this. See if Phoenix1 goes for the 3 straight bans here on red side. We've been seeing a few teams take the trade and actually come out with pretty good results on that.
Yeah, they certainly have, and some interesting stats. I actually found out that the teams that have not been doing the triple red side ban actually have about 10 to 20% higher win rate than the teams that are, depending on the patch. So it is pretty interesting. Obviously, causation can be correlation, right? It could be a better team that is kind of not doing it, but still, it is interesting to note. And there's the Jace. So Jace already going to be taken off the table.
Don't want to have to deal with that being a flex.
Yeah, and it's also one of those things where when you're on blue side as CLG, they're not willing to first pick the Jace, but it's strong enough that they don't want it to go over as a second round pick, right? They don't want Phoenix1 to be able to grab up a Jace and something else. So if they want to first pick the Varus, you may see them ban out something like a Kha'Zix. It just depends what your priority is. Blue side picks is basically like you're banning out stuff that is first pick worthy, but you don't want to first pick this game.
Right.
Oh, wow. LeBlanc. Okay.
I was going to say Ryu may be looking to get a LeBlanc, but then that
yeah,
gets
they're looking for the trade.
Cut right out by Counter Logic Gaming. So we'll see what Phoenix1 heads towards next.
It's likely going to be the Rengar. And see, this is why I like this strategy much more, because you can actually force your opponent to do that ban, and then this way Phoenix1 essentially got an extra ban. They don't actually have to ban out the LeBlanc because CLG was not willing to initiate the trade.
Right.
And then if CLG takes LeBlanc off the table, you simply ban the last of the OP3. You take Rengar out there. So it works out very well if you are willing to look for those trades.
Letting the AD carry go first. Maokai for Darshan in the top. His Shen actually got taken away there in phase 1. Let's see what they answer with. Probably still first. And Nori is going to want that as we heard. If he can be doing good in the jungle, the rest of the team follows suit.
Yeah, and Inori has had some incredible games, but when he looks uncomfortable, he really looks uncomfortable.
Yep.
I mean, he had the 0-7 Elise game. He had yesterday. He had his Ivern game where he looked very poor. So he has some really great games, and he has some ones that are not looking so hot. And getting him that comfort pick, I think, is going to be pretty big. And there it is. So Kha'Zix Varus, no big surprise.
Arrow on arrow. He has had some fantastic piercing arrows. Xmithy goes for the Graves. Stixay gets the Jhin as the AD carries just go through unbanned phase 1. Let's see what this last pickup is. I do have the chance for that top lane. Yeah,
they can go for top lane parity, or you can do something different and try to target out your opponents in that way, the role that they have not selected. Arrow did have an incredible Varus game. It was actually in a loss yesterday to FlyQuest, but he started something like 10-0-5. He was absolutely dominating. Wasn't able to snowball it into a victory, though.
I like it. Usually coming in the second round. More so now for Ryu. Wants his Corki. He'll be happy blind picking that in so the team can just fire off a little bit of poke damage.
Exactly. And Corki doesn't really have any bad matchups. Right. That's why you can just kind of blind pick this guy. You can say, oh, Assassins can be problematic, but not really with the Exhaust. He has great wave clear. He has good poke, especially in combination with that Varus. Because the Varus is going kind of the lethality build, you don't have as high consistent DPS, so bringing the second AD carry in the mid lane, who is going to build the more traditional, IE type builds with the Corki, obviously after Triforce, but still, does kind of shore up some of the weaknesses that Varus has.
Malzahar.
The Aurelion Soul, man, it's Huhi. They have to show him that respect. He's so good on the champion. One of the only guys who's still playing it these days and still drawing bans.
I like it. It's like Froggen bringing back as a Nivea.
Exactly.
You don't see too many of those that people can fit in. The last ban here from Counter Logic Gaming on phase 2 before we get our picks. He actually takes away Adrian's Nami. We've been seeing a few more supports pick that up, but he definitely has used it to good effect.
Yeah, Adrian has just done so well on the champion that people are kind of giving those respect bans over to him. And Adrian, a guy in general, is someone who has not gotten a lot of credit in his time in the LCS, but it's kind of hard to deny his success. He was successful on TIP, then he was successful on Immortals. He's doing well on Phoenix1.
But Kobe, he only played, or Kobe, but Isaac, he only played a few champions. That was always
he does, but I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? It seems to work for him. He was something like 6-0 so far this season on Nami, doing very well.
Pretty volatile team here from P1. They need to put a little HP in that composition. We'll see what their final pickup is. Nautilus still on the board as Counter Logic Gaming on their final 2. Doesn't really need much. We've been seeing a little more Gragas. Been interesting. We already have our toppers for this time, though.
Zig played Gragas yesterday,
Yep.
And he hasn't selected his champion, so it's possible he goes right back to the Gragas. Had decent success against it.
Yep.
He was playing against a very mobile team composition, though, with the Ezreal and LeBlanc. It's harder to knock those guys in. I think that the Gragas, if Zig did want to bring it out, would be more successful against a team like this, because Jhin is a somewhat a mobile carry. It's much easier to get up on him and knock him back in with that explosive cast, but as you said, Nautilus is available, still have the Poppy available here, and this is going to be Huhi's pick.
Let's go for the Echo. We've seen one.
There it is.
Locks it in.
Huhi has actually played Echo for quite some time, even at Worlds and stuff, bringing it out. He was very successful with it. We're seeing more and more people playing it these days in the LCS. Guys like Bjergsen are practicing and playing it. Jensen, Huhi has been playing it. Definitely be very effective.
It was something that used to fit in the CLG wheelhouse because it could also have gone to Darshan back in the day. And obviously not as much now, but still
there it is.
He played Gragas locked in last for Zig, so they will get a bit of that HP in the top lane from the Rabble Rouser.
I like it a lot. As I said, I think it makes a lot more sense against a composition like this, which is less mobile than things like the Ezreal and LeBlanc. There's a lot of targets you can knock in. The Gragas ultimate also can be very effective at simply splitting up a fight. You knock a couple people in, knock a couple people out, you focus down the people that are kind of stuck, split out from their team. And as far as the laning phase goes, his passive recently got buffed, so he gets more health every time he casts those spells when his passive is up. And once you hit Spirit Visage in that kind of realm, Maokai really can't hurt you very much. And you can be pretty effective with the wave clear, so definitely a solid tanky pick.
And we talked about it coming in. We also heard from Alphamu himself, these guys are tough. We're going to have to be aggressive as well. So he picks up Thresh, something he can engage more on. Something he said the team has kind of lost that identity because of the meta, where Xmithie and him used to be the ones going in. We can see here they can be a little bit more aggressive, and CLG is looking to start off strong with this comp. Echo now for Huhi. We do see that Thresh as we were talking about for Alphamu, and Adrian gets his karma in the bot lane. We're going to be watching down there to see how that plays out, as well as how Inori does in the jungle against Xmithie, because he is kind of on watch as well if P1 gets behind.
He really is. We will have to track this bot lane a lot. Can be pretty explosive with the Thresh and that Jhin lane. Thresh obviously facilitating ganks very, very well, and you have the CC chain. If you hit a hook, you can nail that Jhin root. You can Lantern in a Xmithie. But Arrow and Adrian have been performing very, very well. One of the best bot lanes in the NALCS, and Afromoon 6A may be in tough.
Out onto the Rift. Final day. Many games to go, but final day here week 4. It's been a pretty good one, showing separation of some of the teams, as well as finally pitting some of the top teams, as we said, P1 against TSM, and other teams are going to finally challenge them. FlyQuest C9 as well today. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, that is going to be crazy.
Well, right now, Counterlogic Gaming versus P1. See a pretty normal start from everybody. Corrupting Potions for Darshan and Huhi.
Yeah, were you electing to go for the Doran's Blade? Most people do start Corrupting Potion on Corki.
Yep.
So this is a little bit of an adjustment, but it can simply be something where he doesn't feel like he's under a lot of threat against Huhi, going aggressive on him. So you get a little bit more AD, you can kind of get some more auto attacks out, do a little bit more damage, but look for Huhi to just try to be shoving waves in, go for an early recall, and utilize that teleport to try to get a lane advantage.
Just going to mention that double TP, something we'll watch that mid to late game here.
Yeah, they can set themselves up for that split push with Echo. Echo in the late game, if Huhi can have a solid early game, will be able to split very, very well. It's a strong duelist in that late game stages, and it's tough for Ryu to match him if it does get to that point, because he won't have the TP.
So not too many forward wards. A little bit of help. Q over the wall. Raptors first over for
Oh, this
Xmithie.
is actually really cute. Okay, so what Darshan is doing here, this is one of the things CLG likes to do. They like to be very tricky. So he actually takes a little bit of damage from the blue buff, uses a spell, so it's like, oh, hey, he spent mana. He was leashing. He even took damage.
Right.
That's where Xmithie is starting. But guess what? Xmithie is actually on the bot side, starting at the red buff. So this is something that can really throw off your opponents as far as where you're expecting them to be. And Xmithie now may look for a very early cheesy gank. He's going to go for a level 2 gank, and they're not going to be expecting this.
I wonder actually how much they know. There were red pings on because he went over and queued Raptors so Xmithie could crush them quick. Then red, now we see him mid. So maybe P1 knew, maybe they didn't, but still, we've seen CLG do that twice now, a level 2 to try and get the kill early. Weren't able to come up with it there. Aggression in the bot lane from Adrian as well. But yeah. CLG trying to be proactive.
60 took a lot of poke there, pretty brutal, but you know, even if it doesn't pay off, it's a clever look, and oh, Arrow gets hooked in.
There's the lockdown, the flay back, have to use the heal, double exhaust goes down, Stixxay, can he stay in range? They flash forward, they have at least Adrian, but the minion wave is gigantic, and they have to pull back.
3 summoners blown there for P1.
Yeah.
2 for CLG, still the heal available for Stixxay. He tried to flash forward and get that last shot off on Arrow, but could not get in range. So far, good things for them, but are going to be a bit down in farm across the lanes. We'll see if CLG can even things out as those lanes do crash in and they can pick up that farm.
Can't wait to see what comes of this lane. I wonder how much pressure they're going to get as well. Gragas, if he throws too many barrels, Zig keeps himself pushed up, and Xmithie can get there quite easy.
He's moving around the map a lot. He is spending a lot of time trying to look for things, and Inori counter jungling as well. But the Gragas is pushed up very far. Xmithie could get behind him. Darshan's kind of at his turret though, so they need to wait until they're in the right position. And I think this is potentially going to be a pretty good gank, but Inori at the same time is looking bot side. And remember, this is a flashless Stixxay. If he gets on top of him, he could take him out. It's going to be both junglers going for ganks at pretty much the same time. And Xmithie spotted now.
Zig sees him immediately, holds out. I was going to wonder what Darshan's pressure was. Darshan wasn't trying to give that up either. Zig just played it a little too safe. Nori doesn't get much in the bot lane. They find him out as well with wards, and after the first bit of aggression, I'm sure the bot lane wants to stay safe with half their summoners up.
Yeah, both these junglers kind of mirroring each other after that first little early gank from Xmithie. End up at each other's Krugs, and now both counter jungling each other's Raptors. You can see they're both really thinking the same kind of thing here. 2 very intelligent players battling it out.
Zig just waiting for the lane to get pushed. Kugi pushing up, taking a little bit of damage to make it look good. Should be end of the line. Good timing on the Valkyrie there by Ryu. He saw it coming too.
This is actually pretty interesting though. So most junglers will not show nearly as often as Xmithie is, but since he's playing that ranged champion, playing the Graves, he's okay just walking into the lanes and throwing out a shot or two on these players, trying to put on a little pressure, or even provide a little bit of damage, which could get them that lane advantage. So it's a bit of an adaptation from him, and I think it's pretty cool. He's not actually spending much time, and he's still farming the camps. So the pressure he's applying is not being punished whatsoever, and it's a nice start from Xmithie.
We got a back from Zig. He's going rings. Top side gets teleport back. Looked like Kugi wanted to try something early after using his teleport, where he's just going down for a control ward. Make sure everybody has some good vision. CLG returns to the bot lane. Not too much to clean up here. The wave is equaling out, so they're down in CS just a little bit from the pressure of P1.
Yeah, and Zig is actually going to be able to deny some of this wave here. He stops the back, and now he stacks up that wave. So the minions of Darshan are going to kill off a lot of the P1 minions, and that means that Darshan is going to miss out on XP. He's going to miss out on that gold. We'll have to TP back to lane and shove it in, but most of that wave will already be denied, so you'll see Zig likely get a little bit of a CS advantage off of this. There's an extra 4 or 5 minions left, basically, that Darshan missed out on, and Zig is going to be able to play.
Whew. That feels good. Just getting a big clear. So level 6 is for the top side, means 6 in mid as well. We might see a little bit of pressure here again from Xmithie. He's going to go ahead and set up the side. He made sure, I think we just saw Huhi kind of head towards that top, say, is it worth for you to get Scuttle? Yeah, it's still up. You'll have time. A lot of communication here going from CLG. Be careful. Fighting in a lot of minions.
Yeah, Xmithie is actually looking, ooh, nice try there from Movie, close, but did not quite get him. And it looks like Xmithie is trying to set up an invade over towards that red buff, or at least go for something there. Darshan was even roaming down. The red buff is spawning, and he placed a pink on it. May just be able to take it away, as it looks like Inori is going to be basing, not showing up, and we'll see how long Xmithie waits before he takes this, because he obviously does not know where Inori is right now, and he's kind of investing a fair bit of time at this point, and likely will just start it up now.
But now it's even scarier, because he might come down.
It is scary, man. When you wait that long, you're like, where is he already? He's got to be doing something, and Tracking the enemy jungler is such a big part of the game.
I guess it's good. You have vision on Zig. You have vision somewhat on mid. We did have Ryu back, but Smithy gets out safe. We actually saw Huhi start to roam up when they didn't have vision on Ryu.
Exactly. Pushing lanes is a big part of that. Because mid lane is shoving in, because Darshan can shove in as well, they can look for that. You can see that P1 is trying to answer right back, but this is warded out. So this does give Smithy the opportunity to try to get something out of it. You know, will he go for a gank? Will he try to get down here and answer Inori? For now, it looks like he's not going to do any of that.
He does have a lane push, so he gets a little bit of a shorter path. They could cut Inori off on the way out.
They might be trying to bait Inori in here. Yeah, I think they are.
Phase dive in, misses. The Time Winder would have slowed him down for a bit of a hit from Smithy. Inori in and out, so they have achieved what they came for and also disrupted the CLG power a little bit.
It's interesting to follow these junglers, though, because they've been so evenly matched, taking away the almost exact same camps at the exact same times. They really have been doing very well for themselves, but now they know that Ryu is low, and they're going to go try to invade on him.
There's enough mana from Valkyrie there. Just a few more hits.
Probably
The
going to go
exhaust
down.
is down. Hui waiting, gets a flash over the wall. Inori's trying to stay on the other side. It's going to be Aframu and the rest of CLG on the left. P1 gets there first, obviously, and Ryu is trying to use everyone as a body wall. It works. Deadly Flourish comes over the wall. Smoke screen's going to cause this one to just fizzle out. And a great job by P1 to react, as well as Kind of Logic Gaming there.
Yeah, CLG, so they don't get the kill, but they get both summoners off Ryu, and they take away the blue buff. So this is still a very nice advantage for them. And in the meantime, Darshan was pushing in mid. Top got pushed in there for P1. So it is an edge for CLG, but not the first blood they were looking for. Now in bot lane.
Darshan had walked down as well, losing some minions in the top. And Stixay may be able to turn around here. He was just waiting for the lantern, seeing if they actually got the lockup they wanted.
So this is actually pretty clever there. They force out the summoner spell. The exhaust comes down from Adrian. Then Aframu is already in retreat, setting up for that lantern. So they get a positive summoner trade. Even though they were kind of health negative on that trade, they can look to fight again with the summoner advantage a little bit later.
It looks like they might try to activate that just on the dragon. I was going to say, if they have enough vision to keep going bot lane, but they'll take the safer way out. Or maybe even way in here.
And this is probably going to go P1's way, and that Ocean Dragon is so big for the laning phase for any team, but especially for this team. You have Varus and Corki, poke composition, and it's going to be massive as they pick that up for their siege.
Crisp 10 minutes in for the first Drake over to P1. So easy time on that. Backing up, Stixay has closed that CS gap just a little bit. He never got too big, but they were taking quite a bit of damage in the early game. Now trying to put some damage back onto Arrow and Adrian. That lane is evened out, but everything is basically even right now. Teleport play could really change things around. But it seems like everybody, it's either a small push and then a fight in the river, or there's just too much vision to do anything.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it's coming.
The teams have just been too evenly matched, really, for either to get much of an advantage. We could look to see the CLG bot lane go for an all-in here, though. They're at a pretty good point of power, so they have the completed Ghost Blade. Because Arrow's going for a tier, he does not have as much combat stats, as much combat power, and they have the exhaust advantage from earlier. So now that they have base, they've cashed in their gold, they could really look for a big fight. We'll see if they can get anything. Cool, that was close.
Throwing a hook like that means they definitely wanted to try. That was very deep for Aframu to take that. Won't let his vision be cleared. Aframu actually going very deep himself. He has the help of Xmithie and who he pushes lane. 80 carries, giving each other a little bit of a love tap here as we come up on Valentine's Day.
There's no MF in this game, Riv.
Today, there will be an MF.
Yeah,
no, there
very likely. We've been seeing actually a lot of MF 80 carry with the lethality buffs. More champions have been coming in. Another I've been hearing a lot about is Talon. Talon has been kind of crushing it in solo queue. We haven't seen it yet in the LCS, but it did draw a ban yesterday.
I plays Talon.
So it could come out. So Inori is lying in wait off of that TP. He is spotted out on a ward. Both teams have so much vision. I mean, there's just, look at how many wards are down for CLG.
It's been preventing everything.
Yeah.
There's a lot of action, but then they back off because they know the cavalry's here. See, both mid laners, they know they're out. Both leave with just about the same health. Who he says back in. He knows Ryu's going to have to take a different path to get out of that one with Xmithie behind him.
Yeah, and he knows that he had the summoner advantage kind of there because the flash is down from that earlier scuffle, so he can look to get somewhat aggressive. And CLG really is trying to take over the jungle and try to force something out. Smithy may have been spotted. There are pings on the P1 bot lane, but it looked like they were ready to come up and try to make the collapse here. And I think they are looking for that now.
Over.
Oh,
he's got him against the pit. The exhaust is on. He's got to go back for the attack, and they're going to get Smithy down, and Nori lives. Great job by Adrian to be there for the team, and Nori does finally go down. Darshan on the TP, and we see Zig off on the left side, so he'll be here to stop CLG from getting out. But Aframu goes in, boxes up Arrow and Ryu. Zig into it as well. They don't get Aframu, they push him out. Yo, he's into the turret, actually. The 1-2 and the ping pong. And now it's going to be Arrow and the rest of the team kind of pulling back so they can deliver this.
Who still wants this?
Huki wants right
Arrow has no
summoner. That melee range immediately. Good mantra shield coming in from Adrian to keep the team healthy. And that's going to stave off another kill. Bloody battle in the bot lane.
It's a 2 for 2. P1 get first blood though, and Smithy went way too early there, not respecting the fact that the enemy bot lane could get there sooner. He goes into this fight and he will win the duel, but Adrian is on the way already. There's the exhaust, the shield comes in on Nori, and that is too much for him to get through. So the first blood does go over. Thankfully for him, it is onto Adrian, and then it's an all-out brawl. 5 men in the bot lane. Ends up being a 2v2 in the extended trade. This is a pretty nice ult from Zig, you'll see here. Eventually knocking Aframu actually back into the turret, and that gets him killed.
It's like right on the edge.
Either way, a lot of summoners expended here. Quite even. You know, CLG definitely wanted to try to pick up Arrow on the back end of that fight because he was low and he was out of summoners, but they just didn't have the health they felt to make that chase. And now we're seeing a lot of item completions come in with the additional gold that was picked up there. Right. You know, the Proto Belt is done for Huhi. This is going to allow him to be that much more aggressive.
So when you look at a game like this, obviously you have a team that wants to go in from CLG, a bit of a poke team from P1. If it does stay even, who benefits that?
I think then it just comes down to play, right? If a poke team falls behind, I would say it's much worse for them. Yeah. You always have the opportunity to kind of hard engage as the CLG team. If you get an Echo Maokai flank, you can always turn a game around. So I would say, you know, for now, it's fine for both teams. But if one were to fall behind, it would be worse for Phoenix1. They definitely want to play it slow and not fall too far behind, because if the tanks start outpacing your damage, they will just hard engage over and over and over. They will dive you, and there's not a lot you can do.
CLG controlling now the first turret. Put a lot of work into this bot lane. Smithy was hanging out in the jungle for quite some time, made it his home. Looks like P1's going to try to trade the same to the top. Arrow will clean up this wave and may just get himself up there. That
was actually really smart from Darshan. So he backed off as soon as Ryu left mid lane. But when he saw Ryu going back to mid lane there, he knew that they were not going to be able to dive him at full HP. So he can come out and he can clear those waves and actually defend the top lane turret. So it's not even a turret trade. They get first turret and keep the top one alive thanks to some smart play from Darshan there.
They're definitely a step ahead. Bot lane still being cleared by Arrow and the team. So CLG can start to set things up now for their next move if they want to. Teleport coming up for Darshan and Zig probably at the same time, and Huki. Could see a lot of action at that point if it is set and ready.
And a lot of pings are going down on the Dragon. The Infernal is about to spawn. CLG bot lane has already based, reset, and purchased, and they're going to be looking to fight here and force for this Dragon because they know they have the buy advantage.
Seen a lot of Jins opening up with Curtain Call just to start the fight, and this one might even close it as well. Huki's actually able to get the last hit, and CLG set up nicely to jockey for position, but they want more. Not too much follow for Huki here.
The package is available on Ryu, and Zig is going to be first to this. Darshan is trailing him. Oh, nice hook from Afro.
Not respecting the distance of the Thrash. Aframu comes in, has the hook. Should be about 3 more seconds. They'll let Nori go though. Possibly. Smithy's by himself in 3. He's going to be able to get to the side of his team though.
Darshan is coming around as well. They want this fight. CLG is looking for the kill.
Adrian's just on the edge. He could probably get Zig out with a good shield, but Zig just keeps getting flayed back. Once you're caught, you are down by the CLG composition.
Hook after hook there from Aframu. As CLG chases down, they get 3 kills, and now we'll grab the Infernal. That is a big edge in the game for them. And we talked about how P1, they struggled to play from behind, and Nori has said as soon as he gets behind, he starts to tilt. He feels the pressure of the game, and he's not sure exactly how to deal with it. So we'll see if P1 can recover and battle back here. But it was a smart engage. They'd already picked off the support, and then Afromu turns around. Ryu not respecting the CC. This parallel convergence stun, the root, the hook, all chained in. He cannot use the package there. And that's what was making him feel so safe. And then Darshan is going for the long flank. Smithy has the confidence to go in because he knows the Maokai is trailing, and it allows them to pick up yet another kill and then lead straight into that dragon. So nice map play and movement there from CLG, really playing their opponents very well.
Tops to the bottom side of the map now, and we actually see P1 heading mid. Not going to try to control the top side. He's already on those waves, clearing them out. Looks like they will try to put a bit of pressure up here, but not around the horn like you would usually see to try and drop the turrets and match Counter Logic Gaming.
Yeah, Huhi is kind of unlocked to start a split push a little bit now. Obviously, he still has to be careful, but he has the Sheen, he has the Proto Belt. With that Sheen, he really can chunk away at the turrets. So you're going to see Afro and Smithy move in, try to get vision on the top side of the jungle to unlock Huhi in the split push. Once he knows that there's not extra people up here, he can continuously shove in the waves, can look to gain advantages there. While they have 6A. Oh, nice!
The Valkyrie hook from Afromu. It's like he never stopped playing it.
Oh, Afromu on this Thresh. The playmaker has returned, but Smithy is caught.
Oh, exhaust on a Smithy. They go to jump over the wall and catch a CLG off guard. Nice return from Stixay's ultimate. It's going to make P1 think twice here. Huhi over the wall. There's an attack. He's got Adrian to his left. A double kill coming up. The Soul Flare only slows him down. Slow much. The phase dive. Oh, Time Winder just out of position. Here comes Stixay. Quick grenade. Afromu gets one on it too with the assist. And everybody comes out happy on CLG. Yep.
Tosses that grenade in. Here it is again. Afro, predictive hook. Nails Ryu on the Valkyrie. Gonna take out the mid laner, and that GP has to be canceled, and that is what triggers CLG to think that they can fight. And then P1 setting a bit of a trap here. Nice corrupting chains there. They do take out Smithy very quick as Inori went over the wall. But Smithy, although he went down, he is able to get some damage out, and Huhi cannot really be matched in this fight. He is really strong at this point. Level 12, chasing him down. They pick up a couple more kills, and CLG is really extending the lead here.
Afromu, the unnecessary try, but necessary.
4-0-3 for Huhi. He is going to be very strong. Already has the Lich Bane, and while Echo is already a pretty powerful team fighter, you know, even when kind of at even items, when he's this far ahead, you know, there's no Hex Drinker on Ryu or anything. If you're not able to exhaust this guy very quickly, and he gets a phase dive back onto Arrow or Ryu, both who have no MR, they will die so fast.
The only thing Zig can really do is throw the cask out. That disperses the team, and like you said, they have a team that can just jump back in. It's very hard to get away from Counter Logic Gaming and their members. Afromu making it that much easier here. As he talks about last week, this week, we have a little bit of an identity issue with me being an engage, Smithy being an engage. So they put a little more engage in that composition, and it's been working glorious. He gets the lane and top push, and it looks like he's going to sneak through here. Might be trouble for P1's mid.
Yeah, he is looking to set up a flank. All 5 members of CLG are moving up here. Darshan is here as well, and they know that Ryu is top lane, Zig is bot lane, and look at Inori getting chunked down already. CLG is going to try to force this turret here.
They got to be careful. There's still a good amount of pokes here coming from Arrow. Not too much damage, but they don't just want to get taken out themselves on a flank. Ryu to the top side. That's a little bit of the poke as well. Be good to have that mid, but he's got to face off against Huhi now. CLG starting to control the game much better. See if they start to press it forward. Continue to take out this outer ring of turrets. Slowing down has kind of been an issue once they have that lead.
It definitely has. CLG has a very clear win condition though. Ryu has the package, feels safe to take this fight. We'll have to be a little bit careful, but CLG has a very clear win condition with the Echo split push, as well as a lot of hard engage here from Darshan. So they can simply put Huhi in a side wave, continuously shoving that out, and they're going to look to make plays around the Jhin ultimate, around Darshan's flanks. They should be able to have a pretty clear-cut path to victory, especially when you think most of the gold has been funneled onto both these guys, and Huhi now looking to set up for the dive, zoning them off.
Yeah, he's drawing pressure. Hopefully they have the minion wave to put more damage on the turret. If they find the in, they're going. They almost have so many options to play with. They don't have to force that one, right? If Huhi doesn't have to go in,
yeah,
easy enough to step out and we'll get a few more bits of damage.
That was the TP, though, from Huhi, who wanted to look for that dive. They did end up calling it off, so that is one edge that they have now kind of taken off the map. And as Huhi goes back to the top side, now CLG has to respect the engage of P1 more because Ryu was here in the mid lane. And you know, as long as all the members from P1 are here, CLG have to play defensive until someone goes up to answer Huhi. And now they can see Zig making his way to the top lane. So Hui's going to come right back down, going to look to try to zone people off the turret again or threaten that dive and see if they can get something done. Because the Infernal Dragon is spawning. Zig does have his TP, so he can be up there, but Huhi can't.
This Ocean Drake helping out just a little bit here for P1 to keep the turret defense on. Like you said, another Infernal to CLG is just going to make things that much harder. Two members pushing this, two members controlling mid. P1 can't even really jockey for this here. You can see how far ahead CLG is, but also how careful P1 wants to play this. They know they still have a chance to find that fight, give themselves an opening.
The gold lead is not that big of a deal. I mean, 3K is nice for CLG, but this is not monumental by any means. Most of the edges that I think CLG has are compositional because they have the double TP, they have a strong split pusher, they have Maokai, which I think is the superior teamfight tank, unless Zig can get a big engage. But P1 are not out of this by any means and will certainly be looking to hang around. And they have managed to at least stop CLG from expanding that gold lead too much.
P1 starting to pick up a bit of gold for themselves as all three outer turrets are down here in favor of Counter Logic Gaming. Pretty big item pickup.
Oh wow, they're going for the Baron Rush.
I like it. Arrow's actually in mid. This is perfect.
He has no idea.
Coming down. Adrian's just going to play, hey, we're still roaming. I'm just warding. But now they realize no lanes have any champions in them, and CLG is starting to send a few over. What's it going to be? The hit in, nothing coming from Counter Logic Gaming. The Lantern out, actually rather Chrono Break, I should say. And Inori picks up Baron with the team.
That is massive, decisive call there from P1. They pick up the Baron, closing the gold lead to almost nothing, and now they're going to have the Baron buff to look to pick up some turrets.
That is an incredibly risky call considering how long CLGs have spent on their half of the jungle, the wards they were teleporting in, which are still there, but somehow P1 still snuck that out.
Yeah, they just felt like CLG was going to reset as soon as they grabbed that Infernal, and they were right. And Kha'Zix, with that isolation damage, can take down that Baron so fast. And P1 has got to be feeling so good about that. I mean, it would have been a disaster if they got caught, but they didn't.
Definitely puts a stop onto what Huhi was doing is quick in the top lane. And now you can see the confidence as they push up here even further without that turret, the Baron minions. And a bit more strength. All of CLG now congregating in mid, or what members there are there. Darshan's TP is up.
P1 still has to be careful, though, about the hard engage. They do have a lot of ways to disengage, with the Gragas barrel, the ultimate knocking them back, and shields and speed ups from Adrian.
Yep.
But Darshan moving up is looking to try to get behind these guys and see if he can set up a flank.
Everything was just on the top side. P1 only has a few wards towards the bottom. It's all dark, and here comes Darshan. He's got 3 or 4 in the Vengeful Maelstrom. What a hit up from the rest of the team. Huge shots from Stixay. There goes Arrow, and Nori's down now. The double kill for Xmithie. Zig is in the eyes of the team, and they counter the logic of P1 after they grab Baron, coming up with a few big kills. And probably turrets to follow.
And that is the power of their composition, executed so well. The Jhin ultimate opens up as Darshan gets in on the back line, and CLG crack P1 wide open. They're going to be able to grab at least one more turret here and maybe push for more.
Bot lane is pushed up for them as well if they have the timing with that minion wave. Enough shots on the turret. Whoa! That's a mistake. The flash is down for him. It happens. There's the Lantern, the pickup for safety. And the Dark Passage to the light there for Darshan.
They did lose a lot of health, so CLG has to back off because of that, knowing Zig has his teleport. So they show respect there. Baron buff is still active for a little bit more, but here's the setup again. So watch as Darshan comes in. Stixay will open up that Jhin ultimate, and Chaos just kind of breaks loose here. Immediate flash in onto Arrow. He's in the back line, so disruptive, and they're able to push forward. Huhi getting so much damage there down with Xmithie, and In the meantime, P1 sieging mid lane will be able to clean up at least one turret.
Yeah.
Really good setup from CLG.
Didn't want to be there. Arrow was like, no. I'm not sure if he thought Zig was an enemy, actually. Looks like for sometimes you're just so on the aware alert. It's like, oh man, no, that's my own team. I didn't need to flash. 11-3 here. CLG starting to turn things around in their favor quite nicely. Zanya's just picked up by Huhi as well, having a fantastic game on that mid Echo.
And that's such a big teamfight item for Echo. It is for most mages, but in particular for Echo, because you can dive into the backline, pop the Zonias, and then your ultimate shadow will catch up with you. So then you can pop the ultimate directly on top of the people that you're on. So it allows you to set up some really powerful teamfight burst combos there using that Zonias and your ultimate.
P1 exiting their base. What new items they have. Iceborne Gauntlet coming in for Zig. Gonna slow some more down. Been a while since we've gotten to see a few of those. Mountain Drake up next. Would be some icing on the cake of 2 Infernals for CLG to get that.
You really can see the power of these new items for Edge of Nights right now in the game. Zig looking to get chased down, rooted up. Oh, he's gone.
1, 2, 3, the 4, 5, and 6 coming in from CLG. There's so much crowd control, you just can't be left alone without the vision.
CLG are just going to keep pushing. They're actually not basing. I think P1 thought they were going to come back. And Hui looking for assassination on the side.
Quick jump away. Belt put him in range for the flash. He's going to have a time winder here.
Nori.
Nori around the corner. Chrono break back as his team is now getting top. He's pulled the respective 2 members of P1 to the bot lane. He may still be able to fight this one out as well. Nice parallel convergence to draw the fight out longer.
Oh, this is going to be a close
Flash
duel.
He's going to have spikes. Nice. Zanyas, he's got everything when he comes back up. 1, 2, 3. Gets away, but still the range of the upgraded claws is able to get him.
In the meantime, though, the inhibitor is just going to fall for CLG. So sure, you killed Hui, but 2 members there. And they grab an inhibitor. That is such a big deal for them. But Zig is going to TP in behind. They're going to go for the long chase here. They feel they need to clean up these kills. We'll see if CLG can get out.
They just pinged him. They know they're trying to focus in what is now the best target. They have to assess it. Very nicely done by Arrow. Blocks out the hook from Afromu, and now Xmithy is the focus. P1 trying to look for the next target as they lose Adrian. Stixay's over the wall, and he's waiting for the reload.
Oh, nice snipe.
Coming in from Arrow.
The flash from Stixay, are you kidding me?
Stixay over the wall, keeps himself alive. Zig finally finds him and drinks him under the table. Ryu's next, but Zig is all alone versus 2. CLG trying to play the hot foot, and P1 is still finding their targets. Here comes a Nori from the bot lane.
He has his TP. Remember, he's respawned now, so he can TP in if he wants to, but oh, that was a crazy fight and a nice play from Stixay to make that close.
We'll see it again one more time. Both teams have to completely call audible and do something different once they see the TP.
It's such a nice CC chain onto Stixay, the body slam into the root, and then Stixay getting sniped out here by Arrow. They want to try to go in to finish him off. The flash out of the body slam on Arrow, 4th shot takes him down. They do end up cleaning him up, but that bought them more than enough time to pile onto Ryu and kill off the last of the DPS. And really nice little play there from Stixay. Whew.
Not going to be able to do that for another 3 to 4.5 minutes. The fights are going to get a little more bloody. Control wards coming out from both sides. I'm pretty sure we'll be right back at a fight quite soon.
P1 did pick up a dragon in the meantime.
Yep,
so that mountain did go over, and Nori, I have to assume, soloed that up. And the gold lead is very, very close still. These teams are very evenly matched, but the map advantages are heavily in CLG's favor, and that's really where it lies. It's not about the itemization. It's about the comps.
Ooh, that was very nice from Stixay. Ryu priming the Valkyrie to get his package out early, and Nori Zig from the side. They're trying to come in. Arrow is right in the middle, but he gets himself back. No, he
Nori's
goes
destroying
down.
the backline.
Nori onto Stixay. There's the cast that kind of splits the damage, but he still goes down. The hit from Adrian comes through. Watching Huhi on the back here as he gets himself in. Afromu baiting in a bit of damage, and Zig's trying to get the safety as the team is calling out. They don't have the numbers.
CLG just needs to hold them here. The top lane is pushing in with super minions. Those are going to be on the Nexus turrets very soon. So it's a 2 for 2, but CLG wants them to stick around. They're going to try to keep them in here. The turret should be able to be saved, I would assume, by Ryu. Very low.
Wow. That's going to be real close.
Oh, just barely. That was a really nice flank coming in, though, from Zig and Inori. They're really what keeps this fight close, because you're going to watch Inori here on the side and see how much damage he gets done. So the dive does come into Arrow, but at the same time, their backline is being obliterated. Stixay is going to get taken out. Smithy was already taken down there by Inori, too. So he gets those couple kills in on the marksman for CLG and keeps the fight very, very close. Ends up being a bit of a stalemate.
Keep our eyes on Inori through these fights. Xmithy and Huhi as well. We know we'll see Darshan. He's a big tree. He'll come out of nowhere.
Yep.
But definitely have to watch where these flanks are going. Stixay has been trying to keep himself safe with the help of Aframu. And everybody is being pushed to their limits here. Only 33 minutes into the game, and it's been pretty action-packed. 17-8. Well, just over the wall. I was going to say if Darshan wants to take it, it might try.
I really want to see Huhi in the bot lane. He has TP. He should be down there split pushing, I think, creating pressure on the bottom side of the map because top lane is already pushing in. Get someone to come down there and respond. Look to make a play. Zig almost has his teleport, but it still should be 2 TPs to 1. CLG starting up the Baron.
Inori just on the wing. His team's going to give him enough vision to say they probably don't have enough on it. Huhi over the wall. Good damage from you and Inori.
What are they doing?
They have to stand in between Huhi and the Baron. Don't let him get hit. Okay, we're good.
They just stayed on the Baron the whole time P1 was there. They needed to back off, and now they're in full retreat as Huhi got chunked down. That was...
They don't have many minions on the top side either, so P1 can toy with this for quite some time. They cleared that wave just up to the second tier. This is going to be that home guard TP. What's his target? Ryu's there. He goes for Ryu, makes him Valkyrie away. Exhaust immediately. And Huhi goes down. 56 seconds, near a minute now on the death timer. Darshan's the next focus. No GA on the tree just yet, and he's going to be down for good for the same time. Nori squeezes tight, gets the shield from Adrian, stays alive as they are skirting death here. And it looks like P1 comes up big off CLG's call for Baron.
That's going to be their Baron. CLG may have just managed to throw the game. I mean, with the inhibitor down, the Baron up, I don't really know what that fight was. There was no ultimate on Huhi, or at least he couldn't get it off. I think it's still on cooldown, so didn't have it from that previous fight. Went in for the flank. He has no ultimate, no Zonias because of the mess around Baron, and you can't do a flank like that as Echo without those abilities.
There seemed to be the complete hesitation because the call for the hook and then the lantern over the wall seemed to maybe bring Darshan. Yeah. Darshan stayed in the back of red and was hatching that red ward, so they knew CLG was waiting.
There goes Inori assassinating Stixay, but this fight was a disaster from the start because of everything that happened prior to it. So a really bad call from CLG, and they can't even kill Inori on the backside. It's a 3 for 0 plus the Baron. Massive blunders from CLG. There's no reason they had to force something like that. They could have had their Echo split pushing, waited for abilities to come back up.
You're in the lead. Why chance that?
Yeah, that was really poorly done from CLG.
So, time to repair the mistakes. That Glass Dragon for P1 was also a mountain, so if they can start approaching these turrets, they'll get a little bit more gold in their pocket and a lot more control on the map. Elder Dragon has just spawned. Might be the next fight we see here as CLG. No, they're stronger. They want to prove that in a fight again.
Oh, Zig's just going straight on in.
He's got GA. He'll take a lot of those ultimates, a lot of that crowd control for the team to pass by and make the damage count even more. Huhi down. 30% health just to start the fight.
Yeah, P1, do push him off. They know he's going to base, so they could start it up. We'll see if they want to go for it. Looks like they're just content to push out the sideways right now, get lanes going in their favor. They have the Baron buff. This is going to be at least one turret immediately going to P1, and they're going to be pretty decently in the gold lead.
Little pressure. Aframu can't put a lot of these hooks in anymore the team can get on. P1 is reacting very quick. 2 exhausts, 1 for Ryu, 1 for Adrian. Has always been able to shut down Huhi or Smithy on the way in. P1 has been getting the advantage. Top lane's pushing in as well for P1 if they can hold this for a little bit longer. A lot longer. It'll take some time. but it doesn't look like they're going to be leaving anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, Huhi has the base again. Got chunked out there, was trying to clear out those Baron minions. So many cannons working away on the turret. This is another turret going to be going over their way. CLG should back off.
This is the point of the game where Ryu starts to get, like, mechanically his prowess comes out with those arrows, kind of reading people's paths. See that Elder Drake kind of being snuck out here. They're going to get it to half out. This is going to be scary. Smithy could come over the wall. It's going to be a smite fight coming in. It's Inori's Double Dragon Elder coming up. Here comes their curtain call. They're pretty healthy, but this fight would be lost if they get hit. They move back. Inori 60 seconds down. Zig's the focus here, and the rest of the team's trying to fire over the wall. This is the poke comp's bread and butter if CLG can't answer back, but they are over the wall in the face of P1. It may still not be enough. Huhi tries to put himself in the front of the fight now. Is Zig getting hooked up? Aframu's all the way in. CLG is trading members in and out, but still not finding another kill yet.
Yeah, they couldn't fully commit. The Elder Dragon giving so much true damage to those two marksmen from P1. They can push Darshan back, and they lost another turret here. A massive minion wave crashing in to CLG's base, and losing the smite fight, losing the Baron. CLG has really kind of lost their big lead in this game. They still do have a fantastic team fight composition. They still do have split push advantage and stuff, but they have to actually set up and properly utilize it.
Slowly going in P1's favor. It was questioned. They were behind. What could happen? It was a sneaky Baron, and then a very nice Baron aggression, or contest, I should say. And it seems like they have been able to keep their mentality stable and keep themselves in this game. Inori and Ryu level 18 right now, just to Huhi. So they have definitely picked up the pace, and now they're on the second tier, mid turret, the last outer turret for CLG's base. Parallel convergence behind. Huhi didn't really have a direct shot in, still going diagonally, which gave P1 a bit of a chance to sidestep his attack or any more engages. Darshan's low. They're just waiting for another minion wave before this turret. No, they're not. I'm a liar.
Yeah, Zig can just tank it up. He hardly takes any damage from it at all with all that armor plus the shields. His passive heals there too. And they're trying to get the very most that they can from this Elder Dragon. They've cleared out a lot of turrets off the map with there and really gotten the gold back to their favor. So
much better on the Elder Drake than the Baron. I think the Baron was negative 400 gold for them, power play, and then underpowered play. Now the Elder Drake's a little bit better. 40 minutes into this one, still scrapping it out with 29 kills. And it looks like the hover around Baron set up the vision, set up the Scuttle Crab, and make sure it's theirs to end the game.
CLG really just needs to get some vision back in this game and allow themselves to get the split push going, allow themselves to play to their composition strengths, right? If you look at the map right now, it's P1 vision everywhere, and CLG is trying to fight back and get some wards out there because they need to unlock Huhi in this split push. They need to be able to have him shoving in waves and trying to get some map pressure, some map advantage, because they're the ones with the double TP. They should not be at that minion disadvantage.
Oh, it's very true. Bot lane is pushing in their favor. Will be easily cleaned up by Ryu. And it looks like still Top isn't going to get Xmithy. He'll just keep coming out, so that won't be in their favor if they do get into a fight. They won't have much to push, so it's kind of that repair mode for CLG. They may get a few kills here with a pick from Aframu or one of the members. Then they got to worry about pushing a wave and what's next. It always puts a timer on what you want to do. Baron's up in 1 minute, though, and that may just force CLG into something.
Certainly could. The open inhibitor top is still there as a point of attack for CLG, but they are playing it a little bit slow. I definitely think they should be kind of running a bit of a 1-3-1, but they're scared of the hard engage here from P1. They're scared that if they split up, I guess they're going to get into a bad team fight, and that does make some sense, but still, you need to be able to have those waves always going in your favor as this composition. Or P1 can simply set up shop and sit as a 5-man squad and poke you out over and over and over. And now they're going for the fight. Darshan TPing in from behind.
That's a TP coming in.
Far. They're both TPing
1-2, yep. I was waiting for where Darshan was coming in. Huhi came in fast, but instantly slowed down. No home guard engaged for them. They do have Baron's side of the map, so they can start to set up some good vision actually on that side. This may play into their favor. They also could start to pressure P1 at their base. It would be hard. Arrow's poke is starting to hurt.
Let's see. I think actually there's a package on Corki. This would be super risky to go for a team fight right now. They are going to have to play around that, but P1 can simply shove up mid lane and make CLG walk back, and then they get control of the Baron area. So that's exactly what P1 will do. They're just going to walk straight down mid lane, push in those minions, make CLG walk basically the long way home, and then P1 runs straight to the Baron. They can try to get vision control around this. Remember, there's no TPs at all for CLG now.
CLG was pinging. They said, wait, are they mid? Are they top? CLG gave up that side position, and now they're just underneath P1. Looking for the engage. Zig, big guy, Guardian Angel. That's going to be taken in by Darshan in the Twisted Advance. Beautiful to have the Dark Passage 2 get out. We've seen Darshan take a few too deep. Not his fault. Always could be tricked into it. And it looks like back to jockeying for position. Clear the waves. Big engage from CLG, missed on that teleport, and they have to wait to get that one in.
It's really problematic because the waves are in the favor of Echo Fox, and there's no TP for CLG. So look at this massive wave building in the bot lane. That is going to be problematic, and when it starts to crash into the CLG inhibitor turrets, could spell a lot of trouble. So CLG is trying to force something before that happens.
Deadly Flourish missed. Remember, a lot of the crowd control is what locked these fights down. We just saw 2 of those miss. They still try for the third. If P1 says, we won't have it, Arrow Summoners are down. Here comes Baron.
They need to force. They're saying they can't control the map. They're trying to force here at this Baron, but it's really risky.
Still getting pulled off. Fuhi looking for the side fight. Aframu Hook just missing, and Darshan is going to be starting this fight with lower than half HP. Bot lane needs to get a little respect here for minion clear. And it looks like CLG realizes that as well.
Yeah, and this is tough now because they know there's no CLG teleport. So as soon as Darshan shows bot side to answer this minion wave, P1 knows they have number advantage and they can look to try to get something done. We'll see if they do respond. CLG is just going to ignore it. That could actually just mean their turret's going to go down.
Remember, CLG has a Nexus turret. This has happened this game, but now we're back to just fighting on both sides of the court before they get to the basket. Nobody's really been able to do anything but kill each other. 6,000 gold in the lead for P1, coming from slightly behind with that poke comp in the mid game, with that Baron sneak and the Elder play.
They're going to lose their inhibitor too, off of these minions, unless CLG does something. CLG now is trying to force something, but the wasted double TP is devastating, and now the Baron may just be gone before CLG is able to get there to respond. Oh God, Smithy is
right in. He stole the Baron. Can he get out? Curtain Call's doing some good damage. Zig blocks the most of it. Darshan looking for the next attack. Vengeful Maelstrom is keeping himself alive along with Huhi. They are dissecting and surgically removing P1 from the map right now as they just went for Baron, and they have been waiting for an opening so patiently. I thought it was going to be the wrong call. They tried to base race Echo Fox yesterday and came up empty. This time they went back and they went for the fight.
Nori may look for the assassination here. CLG is pushing in. This is such long res timers. They could theoretically just end the game. They did lose their inhibitor bot side. Oh, is he going to die to the burn? He's gone.
Tried to get spikes out. Goes down. That's only one Nexus turret, as we just said, inside the base. Counter Logic Gaming holding their breath to the very end, and a sigh of relief as they take game 1 of the series over P1.
They get game 1, but I mean, they could thank P1 a little bit for that one. Smithy with a big Baron steal. But why do these teams feel they have to force the Baron? I don't understand it. P1 had a massive minion wave bot lane. They kill off CLG's inhibitor for free just with minions, and then the only way CLG can win is getting a fight. And P1 forces the fight for them at the Baron by rushing it. All P1 had to do was back off, and they just got their opponent's inhibitor down for free. Once CLG bases, then you have minion advantage, then you go for the Baron. That was just, from both teams, their play around Baron was terrible this game. I was
just going to mention that. CLG did it the first time. That's how P1 stole Baron. P1 in the lead goes to Baron. You're a poke comp anyways.
Yeah.
Poke them when they're at Baron. Go poke the turrets.
Yeah, I mean, they had done so well controlling the map. P1 had, honestly, for the later stages of the game, really outplayed CLG in the map movements. They had the wave pressure, they had the minion advantage for most of the game, even without the double TP, right? So they had done excellently. They maneuver themselves into a position where they get a free inhibitor without even having to fight, and then they force the fight. That's what CLG was just trying to do for the last couple of minutes, because that was the only way that CLG could really win the game.
It was almost like I always say, silence is chaos, and that's maybe what you got after that Baron steal. Is that there weren't many calls. I'm going side. I'm going top. This guy's here, and then that little bit of communication makes things fall apart. But obviously, CLG is good enough to keep that defense up and just kind of stave off the beatings that they kept taking from P1. Both teams were actually going at it consistently without results for a little bit.
They really were, and it was a good job, by the teams to capitalize on their opponent's mistakes. P1 the first time around the Baron, and Smithy with the big steal there. That, helped to decide the game. Without the Baron minions, perhaps they can't end. Without the Baron buff, perhaps they don't win, but still, pretty crazy fight. Pretty crazy game. Pretty crazy game, and we got more to go. For more on that back and forth win for CLG, let's send it over to the analyst desk.
Come on, Jat.
Jat, the scales
You're
of
an analyst.
justice
You need to
decide
say
that
stuff.
I want to see that again in a lot of slow-mo. The Baron steal, as Isaac was just talking about, A, they could have waited, but B, he jumped in. Baron was at 4,000 health.
The wall.
And
Who's
to be
damaging
fair,
it?
Graves does a lot of damage. I don't know why they're
QR's
finishing
down.
it instead of focusing Graves here.
Wow, and they burst Baron instead.
But then
And he's
here,
fighting.
how does he stay alive this long
Yeah.
that he actually has time to take the Thresh Lantern out?
Because everyone blew cooldowns on Baron. That's what happened.
Yeah, I'm with you, Mark. As far as that Baron steal, when he flashed in at 4,000 health,
You go for Graves.
you go for Graves. He doesn't have 4,000 health. You just killed the Graves, so they don't have to worry about Baron being stolen.
And
so,
to be fair, even the Baron steal probably wasn't the most important part of that play. It was the fact that Smithy went in there and did a bunch of damage to people and got out, and then Maokai's in the middle of your team, and you're in a shooting gallery with the Jhin. I think the bigger problem than a smite steal happened, it was you messed up that fight horribly and lost the fight.
and they probably shouldn't have been going for it in the first place, because all they had to do was back and forth until they get the Nexus down, or the inhibitor down
just
bottom.
bait them to come follow
Or
you.
just, since CLG was pushing mid, you just followed them towards mid lane and kind of trapped them in your base.
Right, I think that would have been fine too. I understand you want to force something to happen so they don't just run up mid and take your inhibitor while you're stuck on the top side, so you want to draw them back to that area. But once they had done that, you can pull off that Baron at 4K health. Smithy just flashed in. Is he going to finish it himself?
4K? There's a
You
third of
literally
his
walk
health
out of
left.
pit and he gets soloed by Baron.
Yeah,
Everyone just right
kinda.
clicks down to the blue buff. He dies.
Yeah, I don't know.
Unlucky.
Misplay.
Yeah, misplay.
Yeah, very much
There's
so.
a lot that happened before
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it was
There's a lot
an
that happened.
exciting game outside that.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with the beginning of the game. Afremu was huge on Thresh. He talked about having it, he was kind of having difficulty adapting to the new game, but his Thresh looking awesome.
Right, there was a lot of focus on support picks in terms of bans over the course of this game, so you get forced into the lower ones. A lot of Thresh players are really good, so they're happy whenever there's a lot of support bans. So Afro obviously able to start out a lot of fights, hooking out key members and basically setting CLG up to win them.
Yeah, and CLG has been having some issues with initiation to their own admissions. And then the interesting thing here as well that I want to point out is they did first pick the Maokai for Darshan, and he didn't have an amazing game, but at least it's reliable. They gave up a lot for that. They gave up the Kha'Zix and the Varus in there, so being able to pull out a comeback win, it's got to feel pretty good, but this is still not the reliable CLG that we're hoping to see.
I mean, same on P1 side. You see both these teams had pretty significant gold leads at different parts in this game, and they both threw. CLG, with that initial re-engage at the Baron, they had gotten low, who he was chunked out. They backed off and then chose to fight again. That's when they initially threw, and then same P1 here, another mistake around Baron.
Yeah, it does cement us, by the way, as we talk about Afremu. He is player of the game for us. I think that's kind of justified, made a lot of really good early plays, got them that 4,500 gold lead that the rest of the team seemed to somewhat squander away, but deserving of that title. Cash just gave honorable mention to everybody else, which, again, is sort of fair.
Yeah.
Again, it's a weird game to give a lot of props for because of what happened in the mid-game.
Yeah, and because they were down by so much gold, right? And it is funny, just as an aside, when CLG is good, people think Afremu is carrying them every game, and then when CLG is bad, they're just like, Afremu's not stepping up, and as soon as he has a good game, they're able to win.
I mean, Hui had a good game too, though, because he was able to pull a lot of pressure down the bot lane. That's initially what got them that top inhibitor, as well as just having a great scoreline. I think he finished 7-2 and something. So overall, a good game by multiple members on CLG when you look at the scores. But obviously, in terms of execution of team plays, not so much.
Well, it's interesting because the topic that we're bringing up with CLG, and in my mind, this is kind of front and center for the squad, is the quote that everyone has to play a new style now. Everyone in CLG has to play differently from 2016. That's maybe a little bit over-extrapolated. But what it comes down to, at least partially, is who he gets to play Assassins almost every game, which is exactly what he wants to be playing. He's the guy in his element, and his stat lines, I feel are repeatedly showing it. This is, I'm going to use the meme, the year of Hui in a sense, where I feel he's playing overstated, but he's playing comfortable champions for him, and he's repeatedly doing very well.
I mean, he's a playmaker ultimately, and sometimes he gets criticized when he's making bad plays. He's not the most consistent playmaker there is, but he's been having a really good year so far in terms of generally getting leads for his team and coming out on the profitable side of these plays that he's going for.
Yeah, and if we are talking about some criticism, though, this is the second day in a row Phoenix1 has had a pretty substantial goal lead later in the game and then just not been able to close out. And I'm really interested to see how they bounce back into Game 2 here, because they had that big lead against FlyQuest yesterday, and they got steamrolled in Game 2. So they need to be able to bounce back and not tilt after a game that they'll feel like they should have won.
Well, the scary thing is Honori himself admitted that he has some tilting problems. So if this is going to come into Game 2, like, oh, we should have won this, we messed up around Baron, especially as a jungler, because that's kind of like your area. Even though teams will always say, you know, that Baron's a team objective, everyone put too much damage on Baron there instead of focusing the Graves. It often reflects worse on the jungler, and they take it the most personally. So having the game end in a situation like that with a jungler who's known to have some mentality problems is a big concern going into Game 2.
All right, we'll see if P1 can rebound from that, and if CLG can stay a bit more consistent and round that one out. We'll see if it happens. We've got more NA LCS coming up after this, after that quick caster cooldown, after the commercial break. CLG vs Phoenix1 is coming back up. Stay tuned.